Well, maybe it's not too early for you. I don't know. It's later than a regular school day, right? What time do you guys start school?
8:30.
What? 8:30? Oh my gosh. Last year my school started at 7:10. And we were so thrilled to move to 7:20 this year. Like 10 minutes, yeah. Okay, well, maybe this is still early for you. Well, either way, it's great that we can start this day together. And I thought you did a really great job. Okay, so I thought you were really well prepared. So now we can all breathe, right? But you're here, right? You paid some good money to get beat up. You ready? I don't have a lot of things to beat you up. Okay, you're well prepared. There is some nitpicky things that I can say though. And so the first thing I would like to say is what where or question I should really ask is why this song? How did you come across this? Did a student find it?
Yeah, I purchased it at the All-State Convention last year.
Oh,
And
okay.
I thought it sounded pretty cool and that we should play it.
And did you do like when we go on YouTube and check it out and listen to
Yeah.
the groups and
Mhm.
like I think that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. And when you found the recordings, were they like other school groups or were they like professional
Yeah,
groups?
we actually saw this school perform it last year at Solo Ensemble.
Oh, so you watched that video?
Mhm.
That's cool. Call them. Hey, talk to me about these beats.
Mhm.
Hey, will you do me a favor? I didn't realize that door was open. We should probably maybe shut it so we don't do the sound bleed through. Thank you, thank you. So I think it was a really neat piece, and fugues are kind of tricky. So that's why I asked, where did the idea to do this piece come from? So what do you know about fugues after playing this piece?
It's sort of like,
Wait, he's already talked.
all right.
Yeah.
They're not all together, like you have very different parts.
Okay, I love that. Independent lines,
Yeah.
we might call that. Okay. Anybody know a musical term for that? Do you know when Scarlatti lived? Does it say? Yeah. Anybody look up his bio?
1740s. This was written.
Okay, so he's at the tail end of what we call the Baroque period. And in the Baroque period, the fugues were really, really popular to write. Matter of fact, if you were a composer, they felt that the pinnacle in their composing genre was masses and fugues. If you could write fugues, because they're so tricky to do, then you were a significant composer. And Domenico was a very significant composer. His father actually was a composer too, which is kind of neat. We call these independent lines in this style of writing, we call it polyphony. So phony is sounds, phone, sound, and poly meaning many, multiple. So many independent lines. And so this isn't really kind of like music we play today, right? Yeah, you don't like turn on the radio and listen to fugues, right? Maybe if you're on your classical NPR or whatever station, but Taylor Swift is not going to perform a fugue, right? If she's smart, she would. But I'm working on a band piece called Bayou Breakdown.
Oh, Bayou Breakdown.
Yeah, it's a fugue. I'm like, what the heck? This is great. So I mean, they do kind of pop up from time to time in our modern composers and genres because I think they want the challenges of how do we weave the line. If you imagine like a tapestry, it's beautiful, like maybe carpet or wall hanging, and you imagine all these threads, how they're all woven together to kind of create the image. Music is like that too. How do we weave all these sounds together to create our sound image, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So there are some specific things about fugues. You can go on YouTube and you can type in what is a fugue, and they have these cute little 4-minute, 5-minute videos that kind of break them down, and they'll talk about the subjects and the expositions and how do they interact. And one thing that you have to understand is every time there is a new entrance, so would you play first cornet? the very beginning. So I'm gonna stop you right there, and then we're gonna go over our third clarinet. Maybe not the same pitches, but rhythmically speaking. Yes, and so here's another entrance. These are called antiphonal entrances. So you have maybe here and here and then here and here. And so this becomes the challenge as the performer. Like when you first played this piece, did you were like, where are we at? What's going on? I'm just so lost. Yeah, oftentimes if I'm doing this stuff with my students, it will take them like 2, maybe even 3 rehearsals just to figure it out, because they're trying to read their notes, and forget listening to each other. Did you perchance pass the score around and practice your part off the score? Did you get to do that? It's okay, confession time. Everybody does it.
We have the score out at all times, but usually it's just other people making sure we weren't off.
Yeah, I think it's cool to just, hey, on this run through or during this section, why don't you play off the score? Why don't you play off the score? And what that does is, one, it gives you a great appreciation of what your director has to do. Because it's like, oh, you gotta put all this stuff together, it's a jigsaw puzzle, right? But for you, you can learn and understand, oh, I'm paired up with this person. Oh, I should be making the same sound as this person. So, whenever you have the entrance, okay, or the subject, that is gonna be the main thing. And it doesn't really last all that long. Just, maybe, a few seconds, and then somebody else is gonna step up and introduce the subject. And that means you have to get out of the way. I'm sure you've heard this before, right? Okay, so one thing that we have to learn, and this is what's great, and we can take the music and apply it in life. This is how we live life too. There's times when you gotta step up and you gotta play out, and there's times when you gotta back down a little bit. When to get in the way, when to get out of the way. And this is like something that's really, really important. Another thing that's really important is we've gotta listen to each other. That's another great life skill too, just by learning this music. How do our parts fit in? And we do that by listening. We do that by observing. And when we do that, then we can figure out how to put our part or our voice in the conversation. This is an interesting conversation. Oh, we're just talking about practical applications. How musicians have magical skills of being really great cooperating people, and they work hard. So this is one thing. The one thing that I would also say in your listening and observing is, however the subject is introduced the first time, we all have to emulate the same style. So when you played that at the beginning, it doesn't matter anymore how you want to do it. It has to be done this way because that's part of the game, the style. I felt sometimes styles were a little bit different. I didn't necessarily think, especially on when you had all these tongues and slurs. In the beginning you have all these smooth legato style, cursive handwriting passages. But then when you had like the printed passages, dee da 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 da, I felt that their tongue was a little heavy. And so I would say for the style that was created in the beginning, you probably want to use a little bit of a lighter articulation. Dee da 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 da. How do we do that? We just use a little thicker part of our tongue, not necessarily the pointed end of our tongue. I thought it was good and clean. I thought you were clean. How many times do you think you guys have rehearsed? You can answer the question. So 5-ish times? Okay, that's good. But you got this piece last year? So you guys could have started this at band camp, right? Yeah, I said, water break, let's do a few real fast. Okay, kidding. But, what ages are you guys? Seniors? Juniors? Sophomores? Freshmen? So some of you and already start be thinking about your ensemble piece next year, tomorrow. You know, you have a whole year, you know, to go online, look at things, find stuff. Let's get let's order it, copy it, you know, PDF it, send it out, let's get together. And it's a great way for you guys to kind of fellowship, you know, hey, let's come over to the house, we'll have a pool party, pizza party, whatever. We'll play for 45 minutes and then we'll just chill out, watch a movie or something. You know? The other thing that was a little bit problematic this morning, we had pitch problems, mostly in alto, bass, and contra. You heard it? Who's the alto?
I got this instrument this morning.
Oh, okay. So this is not the one that you normally play on?
No, the one I normally play on doesn't work.
Oh, okay. And altos are notorious for being pitchy anyways. Pitchy is what I said, P. Okay. So you have to be really careful. Just again, that's the whole listening element of how do I kind of do that. And when you're moving in eighth notes, we really have a hard time hearing pitch issues, intonation problems. But whenever you land on a note that's a beat or longer, our ears can focus in and we can listen for tone and intonation and balance. So you don't have to sweat so much the moving lines, but just whenever you sit on a note, that's when your brain's gonna go, and who are you gonna listen to? The low voice. You're gonna try to listen down. Okay. Who else are you gonna listen to? The upper voice. You know? So we listen up for style, articulations, interpretation a lot of times, and we listen down for balance, and we listen down and up for intonation. And so your ears, this is just another great thing, is, if I'm pointing at you, how many fingers am I pointing back at me? Three. I don't know what the thumb's doing, but, so, always assume, hey, before you start pointing fingers at other people like you're out of tune, make sure that you're in tune, You look scared. Are you third clarinet?
Yes.
I want 5% more of you,
Okay.
okay? And the balance, I think, other than that was really good. It just was a little more, okay? So, great job, great preparation, great research, fun piece. Johann Sebastian Bach, you've heard of him? He's the great fugue writer. And he if you type in crab canon in YouTube, he has this little excerpt, and he does this little melody, and then he reverses the melody, and then he flips it upside down, and he shows how it all kind of interlocks together, and it will show you maybe the brilliance of these composers. They're really artists, in a musical way. So crab canon, check that out, and I think you'll have a better understanding of how they put all this stuff together. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and don't do drugs.